West Side. So far, 2 have been arrested, and police say more arrests are on the way. Channel 8's Dawn Kendrick spoke with business owners and is live in Ohio City with the latest. Dawn, good evening to you.
Good evening, Russ. Frankly, this is infuriating. In this up-and-coming, vibrant pulse of a city on the rise, nationally recognized for the people who are building it up, there's zero tolerance for those who are tearing it down.
All right, guys, I'm very excited about today's guest. I feel like it's Christmas Eve and I'm like 4 years old, okay? So, Dawn Kendrick, the one-of-a-kind, life-changing, transformative Dawn Kendrick. She is a force for good. She used to be a reporter for 19 Action News and then later Channel 3 News. She is also a native of St. Louis, and she's been an Ohio resident off and on for the past 22 years. Dawn currently does the Good Stuff Family. It's an initiative that she has put together that completely, literally changes lives. And if I can give her any type of platform to discuss this great endeavor, I will definitely do it. So I welcome to this show, Dawn Kendrick. I am here with the peerless, incomparable Dawn Kendrick. She is phenomenal. She is the founder and host of the Good Stuff Family. She is, as far as I'm concerned, a master entrepreneur. She is an activist, and she is, as she puts it, a repurposed news reporter. Dawn, it is a plum-pleasing pleasure to have you in my presence and to be in your presence. How are you?
I'm so well, and I'm telling you, I'm super grateful to be here.
Well, I tell you what, the last time I saw you, I think it was back in September, and you left such a mark. It was great. Like, I love what you stand for. I love what you embody, and that's why I want to come on here for you to tell your story about telling people stories.
Hey guys, I'm Dawn Kendrick, and I am a recovering, repurposed news reporter. Now it's game on. I'm telling my story now. And my story is colored by the good stuff stories of so many other people I see rising up, uplifting, encouraging, and inspiring right through the middle of whatever they're going through. And we're finding out actually together that it is in the middle where all the good stuff happens. And these are stories you're not going to see on the newscast. They are real and they are vulnerable, including my own.
Dawn, I was just wondering, what is it that makes you tick first and foremost, because we all have something that makes us tick?
Right now, what sort of drives every minute of my life is thinking how to get these stories that are they uplift, they encourage, and they inspire, and they're real, raw, genuine, authentic, and vulnerable. And those aren't just words. Vulnerable and authentic are kind of boutique words now. But what makes me tick every day, literally sometimes laying awake at night, is what's the next step? We have such great momentum, and people are investing in it now because they see what we're doing and they believe in it. So I can't even call them sponsors, they're like partners. And how to keep increasing the footprint on social media, and how to keep producing. There's so many that need to be done, and I would say honestly that consumes a lot of my time right now.
Yeah, that's really powerful. And all the great ones, they have the problem of not enough hours in the day. I'm interested in your backstory. I know that you were born in Charleston, South Carolina.
You're so good. You remembered that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I mean, I've been told I'm good, but not for that reason. Because I can chew gum and eat Reese's Cups at the same time. But you were born in Charleston, South Carolina. I would imagine, just guesstimating, the early 1970s.
Yes,
is that when? Okay.
That's a great guesstimate.
Okay, so tell me what it's like. I mean, it will probably be different for me because this is the South, but I mean, how would it be for you? Like, how was that, and being born there that you know of?
Well, and we moved, my dad was in the Navy.
Yeah.
Larry Kendrick, super proud of him. I'm going to take one quick tangent if I could, because we say together we can, together we will. It's Larry Kendrick who first said that to us.
You're kidding me. That's your dad?
Larry, he signed all of our cards, together we can, together we will. And so when I launched this, I realized this family, this Good Stuff family, it's not the nuclear Kendrick family, but it is my family. Mm-hmm. Why not carry over a little bit of the Kendrick family? And that's essentially what we're about. Together we can, together we will. This networking and this weaving. So Larry Kendrick was in the Navy in Charleston, and my mom was pregnant. He was on a submarine, actually, when I was born. And I don't know that she fully ever like forgave him for that. Right. But we moved back before I had a chance to get the cool accent. I think I was 2 when we moved back to St. Louis, and that's where I was raised. That's where I grew up.
Yeah, and the thing about St. Louis, I was there one time. That was 1988. I was 11 years old.
Okay. You're a baby.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind a bottle right now. No, but seriously, St. Louis, the famous St. Louis Archer, is that what it's called? St. Louis.
Gateway.
Like I'll never forget that, because it was summer '88, and I'm just thinking, wow, this place is like different from where I'm from, which is Cleveland. And I love the fact that you are from that. Now, let me ask you this: your childhood. Was there anything that you wanted to be, that you aspired to be?
So glad you asked.
Yes.
Yes. I wanted to be like a social worker, counselor. And my junior year of high school at Incarnate Word Academy in North County, St. Louis, Normandy, they do a career interest inventory for juniors to kind of help you figure out what maybe you would be best at as you're heading into senior year.
Yeah.
So I kept running up those stairs to the guidance counselor. Is it back? Is it back? Finally, it's back. I felt like there was a drum roll, and Mrs. Regina, I forgot her last name, but she opens it and she goes, "Oh, huh. It says here. You want to take a guess, Deante? What do you think that they thought I should be?"
See, I called her Stephanie, and she just got me back by calling me Delante.
Oh, Deante West.
We're calling each other names.
Oh my gosh.
So
Deante without an L, then
Yeah.
What, you want to take a guess? But a quick window into the formative years of this now repurposed news reporter is that I first wanted to be, does anyone want to take one guess? Just one guess. Not a news reporter.
Ballerina.
Pardon me?
Ballerina.
Oh, no, good. Ridiculous guess. I like how you're thinking. No, I wanted to be a nun.
Well, Delante.
Well,
It's so funny. Delante West, God. So, no, I don't want to take a guess. I don't want to be wrong.
okay. Funeral home director.
Yikes.
I said, I'm sorry, can we get a do-over or get my money back? And parents had to pay for it. She said, no, let's read. Let's just see what it says. And it said that you're caring and empathetic and could help people in their grief. And I said, that's awesome, but that's not going to happen. And come to find out, I have several friends in Cleveland who are funeral directors.
Okay.
And truth be told, a lot of that has kind of transferred over into this life of broadcast news because it's people's stories. I really, almost to a fault, get so caught up in them. And some of these people, I know for a fact that my life is going to be better for keeping them close. So I would say that is, back to your original question, I would say that is exactly what drives me, and I don't apologize for it anymore. I get to tell the stories that I want to tell now, the ones that I know people that resonate with them.
You need this book because, as Wayne Dawson says, the seeds of greatness are within you. I think that's so incredible, and I'm sure that you had a certain measure of support when you were younger, just with different things. I know how important that is. But one of the things I have to ask you, I'm most fascinated about your childhood. Tell me the story behind you shaking Ronald Reagan's hand.
Oh, I don't remember much of it. I was in grade school, but my dad was, he played some role in Ronald Reagan's campaign in St. Louis.
Wow.
The Republican, whatever, and so we would do literature drops. He ran for state representative as well. I think I was maybe like second or third grade, memory serves. But that, when people ask him, tell me something we wouldn't know about you, that's my go-to. I always say that. Yeah.
Well, you couldn't say that to me because I know that.
Yeah. Well, how'd you know it?
Well, listen.
You read that article.
Listen, I listen.
Oh, okay.
Dawn, I told you, I switched over from Palmolive to Dawn because of you, I'm not going to lie about that. Now, one thing that fascinates me about St. Louis, and I cannot wait to hear your recollection of this, September 8th, 1998, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, the amazing home run. Listen, I don't even care about baseball, but in 1998, the summer of 98, I was 21 years old, and I was transfixed by that. I mean, it was like a soap opera day after day. And the thing that McGwire used to do with when he would go like, after everyone, I mean, he was so... I wear St. Louis Cardinals hats to this day because of Mark McGwire. I mean, he's amazing. If I could have a red beard, I totally would.
Wow.
You know, but
Okay.
tell me your
Who knew?
recollections, because I know that was not too long before you came here.
Yeah, it was a great time to be a reporter in St. Louis. I was a reporter at the ABC affiliate at KDNL.
Yeah.
And we had international journalists, as you can imagine,
Yes.
covering that story. I think that year St. Louis won Best Sports City, I think. The Rams were,
Yeah.
one year you couldn't give a ticket away, then they won the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Kurt Warner, another great story, Kurt and Brenda Warner. But reporting on that was one of the greatest, I think anyone who was reporting during that time in St. Louis would remember that fondly. And Sammy Sosa, remember, baseball been very, very good to me.
Yeah, I remember that. I was like, can we please have a translator? Jeez.
No, I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah.
And I do love St. Louis.
Yeah.
And the truth be told, I'm back there now. This has been my home for 22 years in Cleveland.
Yes.
But I've moved back to St. Louis. I feel like I'm laying new old roots, if you will.
Yes. Well, I tell you what, I'm so happy that you came here, because if it wasn't for you coming here, I'd be talking to myself. That would be embarrassing. So McGuire, like I said, have you ever met him?
Well, it's not like I could pick up the phone and call him, but with arm's length, with interview
Oh wow.
distance. The
What is-
Pope too.
You're
The
kidding.
Pope when he came to St. Louis.
You're kidding me.
No,
Holy smokes.
that was fantastic.
Oh my gosh.
It really was.
I mean, that had to be like a harrowing experience with all of the security around him and all that.
Yeah, well, and a lot of reporters and people don't even know this story. The guy who drives the Pope Mobile,
Yes.
the Pope said he wanted to drive on Highway 40, and he said, "I can't let you drive. That's my job." He said, "Come on, just let me. I'm the Pope." Fine. Deante, he's doing 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 miles an hour.
Yikes.
Here comes the highway patrol. He comes walking up to the car. He sees who it is. He runs back to his car and he said, "I don't know what to do." He called back to dispatch. "I don't know what to do. I have somebody really important pulled over here." "Is it Mel Carnahan?" That was the governor at the time.
Yeah.
"Is it John Ashcroft,
Yeah.
our senator?" "Listen, I don't know who it is, but he must be really important. He's got the Pope driving him around." Thank you. I'll be here all week. Tip your waitresses.
That is so funny. Maybe I should drive around, wearing a bed sheet and a cross. I get away with all kind of stuff.
I'm serious. If lightning strikes in here, I'm blaming you.
No, it's awesome. It's awesome, man. Is it dangerous to not focus on driving because I'm busy looking at this amazing book? I'm just wondering. Now, I know that you were voted most friendly personality in high school, and I would say that you really do have that. Is there a reason why you are so cheerful in the face of horrific circumstances sometimes?
Wow, that's quite a question. Yeah, meaning in the stories that we have to cover and all of that.
Yeah, just in general. I mean, your life has not exactly been a bowl of cereal. You know what I'm saying? And if it has, it's been like cornflakes, and that's boring.
Been pretty blessed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I've been pretty blessed, but the curveballs that I have that I don't see coming were most recently were when the contract wasn't renewed, and broadcast news is the only thing I've ever known.
Yes.
And then you ask yourself immediately, okay, well, now what am I going to, this is the only thing I've ever done. Do you want to try to get that job, that same job again? And the prayer that day
Yes.
was, all right, God, how are you going to turn my walking papers into my permission slip? It's in my notes. I literally wrote it right there in the car. And again, no blame. The new news director had a job to do, and I wasn't going to do the things as well as the people he was hiring could do.
Yes.
But still, it was the only thing I had ever done. And so I said, God, seriously, let's go. Because in my heart, I always wanted to do these stories anyway. And probably, let's just be honest, when something like that happens and you aren't renewed, it's a good chance to take some inventory of how you could have been better. Constantly pushing for these stories, I bet was annoying to a lot of people in that newsroom, to be honest.
Right.
But it was kind of conflicting. Yes, we want them, but they just didn't have enough reporters nightside. So sometimes it was just Chris Ty and I, and that was it. And I owed them that. So the cheerful, back to the cheerful part, is that I felt my heart. Okay, this is how I say, because of my personality that you just set up, I felt like my head was saying, you better keep your nose to the grindstone. This is a fantastic job. It's the only thing you've ever done. What else will you do? All these things that are facts. but I believe not of God. They're not of God. But I would have stayed. Heck yes, I would have stayed if he renewed the contract because of all those reasons. But the truth is that last year, my head was saying, you keep your nose to the grindstone. My heart was saying, nope, nope,
Wow.
nope. Every time that story meeting ended, I felt like I left a piece of myself at that table. And people started to notice it. And physically, my hair was breaking off. You know, stress is a real thing. Anxiety of this calling I felt. And don't you know that I feel like God said, all right, here's the deal. I know you heard me calling. And I know you. And you're too hesitant. And I believe in you more than you do. So I'm going to move you out of your own way.
I have a question right off the top, if we could. How many of you today would say that you ended up doing today what you wanted to do when you said, when you grow up, I want to be? Can I get a show of hands? How many people actually did that? Okay, okay. And what is it that you do?
And it's going to hurt as I chisel away because he sees a masterpiece in you and each one of us as his masterpiece. But sometimes the chiseling away is painful. It's like, ouch, ouch.
Oh my God.
And I felt like he said, can you stick with me? Could you just stick with me? Because those weren't your stories. They were my stories. And my platform is way bigger than broadcast news, local news stations. Yeah. Yeah. So when I lay awake at night, it's like, how do I do? Could I please have a forum, Father God? What's the forum that you want for these stories that are real? They are people who, not always, they don't go back to faith, but a majority of them do. They get through the tough times and see that God weaves and he works, and together we can, together we will. They're real stories. And it's happening, Deante. It's happening. And that's the awesome part. So being cheerful, it was a clash in my heart, between my heart and head. And I'll say this, in Paul in the Bible, he said, like in Philippians 4:6, be anxious for nothing. Hello. It's right there. It's flat out. Be anxious for nothing. Yet I was always anxious. But in all things with prayer and with supplication and with thanksgiving. Ooh, that's huge. Let your requests be known to God. Like shout them out. Like, really, God? I thought you gave me this job. Really, God? What am I going to do now? Let your requests be known to God. And the peace of God that surpasses all understanding, bigger than anything, and we'll know it when we feel it. The peace of God that surpasses all understanding will protect your hearts and your minds through Christ Jesus. So my point is, Paul could have said, will protect you through Christ Jesus. It would be shorter, fewer words. I know, I don't know, I believe in my heart that he knew that the heart and the mind are two different things. My head said, keep your nose to the grindstone. My heart, the calling where God calls us, was going, nope, nope, nope. And I feel like I am right in the middle of a calling. But it's not easy. Like you said, oh, Lord, that was a good salary, right? What do you do? Where do you go? Natural transition is to PR, to public relations, out of broadcast news. I don't want to do that. I didn't want to do that. And so we keep chipping away, and sure enough, tried and true people who I could not love if our own blood ran through their veins, family, that I call family in Cleveland, it's working. It's working, and we're growing the Good Stuff Family Tree 2023. It's happening.
I love how you were quoting Philippians. Obviously, we all know about 4:13. I could do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Yes.
And that's what I see that you are the embodiment of, and I really admire that.
Oh, thank you.
Now
You
I
don't
know
how
that
much
you.
that means.
Yes, I know you graduated from the University of Missouri School of Journalism and things like that. Did that really help you a lot, or was it just your natural interaction with people that really helped you the most?
That's another good question. Well, I'm super proud to have graduated from there. It's consistently ranked number one sometimes like Northwestern, Medill School in Syracuse, but it has a fantastic reputation for journalism. And so I was proud because I had in-state tuition. It was kind of a no-brainer, right? So that was a huge blessing. Some graduate students were in my class, they were paying big money to be there.
Yes.
So that was the foundation. Oh, well, I'll back up. That wasn't the foundation was being in. Even growing up, I'd come home from kindergarten with little notes pinned on my shirt that said Dawn was very talkative at nap time. And now, first of all, I'm like, where is that lady? Because I grew up to get paid to talk, and she nearly stifled my whole career. Secondly, I'm like, please, somebody tell me I have to take a nap now in the middle of the day would be fantastic. But clearly, I talked a lot. And in school, the subject I liked best, I did theater and writing. So the broadcast news element was, to have the degree from the University of Missouri is fantastic, but you nailed it in saying, is it also not so much what you learned there, but, what you brought to it in your heart and soul. And I will say that confidently. I have a problem bragging on myself. I always have. It's a big misconception that if you're on broadcast news, you have this fantastic, holier than thou, very confident. Nah, not a lot of times, especially me. So what I will say confidently about me is that I love the people, the stories within the stories within the stories. Here's the best thing I learned in journalism school. You ready?
Yeah.
People, people, people.
Exactly.
I had a coffee mug. People, people, people. I don't see it so much in broadcast news anymore. I see pitting people against people.
Yes.
I see it. And it was breaking my heart. So that very thing that you pointed out, the personality, was both an advantage and then, thank goodness, the way God worked it, also a huge disadvantage to have stayed in that business through COVID and all of this. Lord have mercy, because my contract was not renewed before all of that. Could you imagine if my heart was already heavy in the stories that we had to tell? And so everything for a reason. Romans 8:28, he works everything together for good for those who love him, who are called according to his purpose. He didn't mince words. He doesn't work sometimes. Everything. And the challenge is to just see through it. From one day to the next, take just the next step. The light that's the lamp unto our feet, it's not a spotlight, he promised. It's a lamp unto our feet. The only way you can see the next step is taking the first one.
Yes.
Now the lamp light. That's what I constantly play in my head, literally that visual that, okay, Dawn, don't apologize for your soft heart in that business. Don't apologize for your connection to these families where literally they became family. Because I've watched kids grow up. They're in college, they're out of college. I met them when they were tiny and they couldn't even walk, right? And the blessing of having had that job for 20 years in broadcast news here, a blessing. But guess what? Sometimes God's like, hey, can I use you in the way I know is how in the way that I intended you to be.
Yeah.
My plan, when we don't understand. And so anyone within earshot of this, that's what I would say. Whatever you're up against, listen to your heart, pray into it. It's not easy, trust me. Ooh, like I said, the money, all the questions, this is not how it was supposed to be, until you realize, yeah, it's exactly how it should be.
The things I like about people in no particular order is when they're down to earth, when they're interesting, when they're hilarious, when they're very open-minded, and when they don't have any agenda other than the right agenda, meaning they are here to be a part of the solution. It's funny, but Dawn Kendrick checks all of those boxes. I think your enthusiasm is so infectious, and you know what? You're like a less tan version of me. Seriously. I mean, like it's phenomenal.
I saw your spirit as soon as I met you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean, like it's crazy. It's like you're like an amalgamation of me and Beavis and Butthead. And,
Wait, I liked where we were going. Can we rewind and start?
Well, no, seriously.
Do over.
No, but because they find everything funny and you find most things funny, and that's the good thing. And speaking of tragedy, I know you came here shortly after the 9/11 situation, and tell me how exactly you got onto the Cleveland News. That was the early
I'm
two.
glad you asked that story.
Yes.
I love to share.
Yes.
In fact, I say I like making new friends because all my old stories are new again. Make
Exactly.
them, and it's a lot easier to make new friends than to get new material. So I'm
Yes.
glad you asked.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. It's another case, an exact case of really, God, really. The ABC affiliate there, KDNL, is we had just won the Emmy for Best Newscast.
In St. Louis.
In St. Louis, yes, exactly. And so we had great people who worked there. The problem is we couldn't get the ratings. Channel 5 is a powerhouse, and we just couldn't get the ratings that we needed. And don't you know, the company closed the whole newsroom down.
Yikes.
That never happens. It's a decent sized market. It's a St. Louis market, not far below Cleveland.
Yes.
And since you asked, you can get your little violin out for me right now because you can't even make this up what I'm about to tell you. I had just renewed my contract, but my dad, being an attorney, said, I don't know about this wording. It's different than the other one you signed. Mm-hmm. And it essentially said if you're fired without cause, then you get a month pay. You know, we won't pay out your contract. Mm-hmm. And I said to my boss, I said, why did that change? Why? No one gets fired without cause. Listen, this is the template. This is what the company's doing. If you want to work here, you're going to sign it. And my family was there. I had no aspirations for anywhere, but that was it. So, all right, just sign it. If they're going to fire you, they're going to have a reason. Okay, come to find out, that phrase meant if we, say, close the whole flippin' newsroom down. Wow. That was without cause that we're firing you. It's no cause of your own. Here's your 1 month salary on the rest of your 2-year contract that you just signed. So filed for unemployment. And just my car was broken into the last night where I had my bag, that leather bag with all the, back in the day it was tapes, resume tapes. I had spent weeks dubbing them over. Someone stole it. They thought it was a computer in there. And the local radio guy said, this is a terrible thing that happened because it happened to a couple people at the station. And he said, so if anyone sees like a homeless guy trying to get a job at another TV station with Dawn's resume tapes. And I called him, I'm like, this is not funny. But guess what? And my grandma, we literally went looking in dumpsters. We went to see, and my grandma said, no, Donnie, we should pray for whoever did this. I said, Graham, I need you to stop talking right now. Didn't want to pray for these people.
And I will admit, I do speed on the way to work. I got stopped the other day in Euclid. I was like, I was doing 80 in a 65 or 60. On my way to work, this guy pulls me over, and I think he's gonna because usually when they pull me over, they give me a break. They say, okay, you went, slow it down. This guy gave me a ticket. $250 later. I said, you must watch Channel 3 or something.
But my whole world was upside down when you ask how I came to Cleveland. Guess what happened? The brand new news director hired under the brand new general manager at the CBS affiliate here found a tape from Frank Maggot Consulting, which I had sent probably 2 years before. They were just starting hiring. They were brand new. We're going to start this new brand called 19 Action News. It was brand new. Yeah. And it was edgier, and we loved your tape. When can you start? And I said, tomorrow would work. Literally, right? And I'll drive up there with my one window missing car that just got broken up. But that's how it came to me. So tell me God doesn't, a bigger market, more money, more experience. That's how that job came to me. That's how the Channel 3 job, they called me. And those were God's jobs. Those were God's stories.
So your first appearance here on television was 19 Action News?
Yes, December 2001. So, right, on the heels of September 11th.
You know, here's an interesting fact. The World Trade Center, the whole site of that Ground Zero, it did not stop smoldering until May 2002. So it smoldered for 8 months after that. So that's really interesting. And like you talked about God, I love the fact that you so freely express your faith. And my grandmother would be enamored with you because she's the one that instilled that in me. So that's amazing. Some people are afraid to do that, but I love the fact that you are not. So, as you can say, and as you have said, all of this has been not only God's work, but it's been very serendipitous for you to land where you have in the moments that you have. And, we're all grateful for that. Now, when you got here at 19 Action News, that was brand new. And had you been in Cleveland before that, prior to that?
No, and I would recommend, if you're listening to this outside of Cleveland, don't move to Cleveland in the winter. I thought, oh God, what have I done? It's dark all the time, and they sent me to the east side they said there was going to be a snowstorm and it's called the snow belt. I said, really? You guys have something called the snow belt? I had like 2 pair of shoes. None of my stuff had gotten here yet, but I had a heavy coat packed that in St. Louis was the keep it in the trunk just in case coat, before cell phones. And so I brought it because I heard it could get cold. I grabbed that thing. I lived in that thing for months. And it was powder blue. And it was the one like from TJ Maxx on the back rack was all puffy. Like, I can't put my arm down. Like from Christmas Story, that kid who can't remember. Yeah. So I did we didn't have any heat in the live truck when we went out on my Snowmageddon story. No heat for an hour drive to the east side. And then so we had a 10 o'clock newscast and an 11. So I would report out in the deep freeze, get in the refrigerator, that is the live truck, produce the story, back in the deep freeze to go live at 10, back in the live truck till 11, back to the deep freeze, and then drive home for an hour in a live truck with no heat. I was frozen for days. And so Denise Dufalo was the anchor, and I had the hood. This is visual storytelling now. See if you can visualize this, people who are listening. Puffy powder blue coat, can barely put my arms down. Hood is cinched around. You can only see my eyebrows, and that's it. You can see anything up beyond you, and the snow's stuck in them. And Denise goes, "Oh!" And we go live to Dawn Kendrick. "Oh, you look cold, Dawn." And I looked right in the camera and I said, "You know what? I feel like a big fat frozen Smurf." I said it on the air, and I thought, "Oh God, I hope it's not my last time on the air. I've only been here a week." But I thought, that is it. I have a 2-year contract. As soon as I thaw out, I'm going to get through the next year. And 22 years later, here I am. I love this city. In fact, I go out and I walk in the snow on purpose because I love the brisk air in my lungs. And yeah, I love Cleveland.
Oh, I love the snow. My girlfriend is a snow bunny, so I love the snow. But one thing I will ask you is, how long did you stay there before you went to somewhere else?
13 years at Channel 19. Again, I told you I saw kids grow up here. And then 4 years at Channel 3.
13 years?
And then 4. So 17 actually on the air in Cleveland. I've been here 22.
So the Smurf thing didn't even get you canned. It actually probably made you more.
Oh, no, it didn't. They loved it. It was 19 Action News. It was edgy.
Yeah.
And they liked it.
They were like, more of that.
Right, exactly. Uh-huh.
So that means that somewhere around, 2014 is when you went to Channel 3?
I think that's, you know what? It was 2015. It was January 1 because my dad had just passed. He was very sick, and I signed the contract. I worked for a month, and I'll tell you this, Channel 3 was fantastic. Talk about family and how they lifted me up from St. Louis and had my back and said, come back when you need to. I mean, I will never forget the kindness that they extended to someone who had only been there a month.
That guy, Russ Mitchell, I know you guys had such a phenomenal rapport.
Yeah, back to St. Louis.
Yeah, it was such perfect symmetry. That's what I always felt when I saw it.
Such a good dude. He's a good dude.
Yeah. And so this whole thing with the Good Life, I know you started there with doing stories on the air, and then it sort of blossomed into something bigger and more profound after that.
Yeah.
So walk me through what your thoughts were as you were doing this for the first time.
I helped a kid, and he's probably never going to forget this moment in his life.
Great sportsmanship. Good job, guys.
When he scores, you can't help but smile.
Who's going to Epic? Epic!
It felt like, awesome.
The kid who has the crowd on their feet passes the praise on to his teammates.
It was super easy how it happened. It was very natural. I had done a story on a cancer survivor kid, and I said, you know what, this is the good stuff, the way people were rising up for him. And then I did another one, it's the good stuff. And people started writing in, how about this good stuff story? I love the good stuff stories. So I made that my signature. There was no consultant paid to come in, thousands of dollars. It was truly, when I tell you, when you type too quickly the good stuff, and I leave an O out, it becomes the God stuff. And I see the typo and I leave it because I realize it's not a typo, because usually who I'm writing about, it is a God stuff story. And I'm telling you right now, this is God's brand, because people have asked me, oh, well, you started it there. Don't they have the rights to? No, even my news director's like, wait, what happened? It just caught on. It wasn't because of me. It was like a conduit. When we say God weaves, he can weave through us, right? It was intended to take root there, and it was intended to be built out of there.
And you added family onto that too.
The Good Stuff family is what we are now, right?
Yeah,
growing.
so that makes it more of a distinction for you.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You know, I tell you what, this whole thing, like I said, serendipitous, that's exactly what it is. And, you know, what you do is proof positive that you're living in your purpose.
Amen.
And
Thank you. I want to give you
that,
a hug, but we'll mess up all our microphones.
Yeah,
Thank you.
We'll do the hugs, but listen, you are
Thank
living
you.
in your purpose. Whenever you would do something, I get the impression from you that even if you were a billionaire, you would still do this.
Amen.
And that's when you know you're living in your purpose.
Thank you.
Know,
Yes.
You were created on purpose for a purpose, and that's what this is.
Yes, yes.
And so I love the fact that you had this one situation that was the cancer survivor, you know, and then it went on from there, and you just kept saying, let's keep doing this. Because when you're doing that stuff, I guarantee it never feels like work.
Amen. You're speaking my language, every single word.
Yeah. And I think that it's so transformative what you're doing for society. I'm so enamored with what you do. And when I say that, I'm very sincere. And I want to do whatever I can to help you expand it. I mean, you're doing just fine on your own. But tell me some of your highlight stories, you know, since you took it over, because I know they did not renew your contract. And what year was that?
It's been 4 years that we've been trying to do this.
Okay.
So I've been not in broadcast news as long as I was in here, at Channel 3, I should say. So so your question is like, what are some of the great stories we've already done?
That you've done on your own, like separate from the news.
Well, first let me say, anyone listening, if you would go to thegoodstufffamily.com, there are links there, and you'll see we've done 11 so far, just since January, what we call Joy Through the Journey profiles on people. They drop every Monday at noon Eastern. In fact, one probably just wrapped up here. And every single one of those are, I believe, God inspired, because like I said, I have a ton that could be done. We were set to do the very first intro one. It fell through, and we ended up doing a story, and this will be the answer that you were looking for that most sticks in my mind recently. My friend Mike Phillips from the East Side was in a coma from COVID, intubated, out for 60 days. Like, it's unheard of that you would come out of that without major effects, right? He is a man of faith. Like, he's my go-to guy. I call when I'm upset, he points me right to the verse, and I write it down, and he's the go-to. So he ends up COVID. His son gets COVID while he's intubated and dies.
Wow.
And he's a guy, Jay Phillips, who is beloved on the East Side, bigger than life. Check out the story. You'll see I had done his story at Channel 3, Jay. So now we can replay that story, remind people how awesome his son was, and then hear from a father who is grateful to have come out of a coma, but the thing he has to hear is that his son has died. Can you imagine anyone that has more reason to say, really, God, really? And he turns it for good. He's flipped the script, in which because he so stands on faith, he inspires me, and now I get to do the podcast. It's one of the most hits that we've had is on his story. So that's how God works. And that, right off the top of my head, I could tell you a little bit about all 11, but what I would love your listeners to do to just take a minute and go to thegoodstufffamily.com. We're primarily on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel, and Facebook. If you're on Facebook, there's a Good Stuff Family channel. That's where we go live every Friday and Monday.
There is a very underrated aspect to living a life in the service of other people. Because what actually happens is you end up lifting yourself up while you're doing the great work of lifting other people up. And when Dawn talks about serving other people and doing all this great work with the Good Stuff family, I look at it and I say, I gravitate towards a cause like that. I gravitate to a person like that because she is a force for good. And how could you deny anyone a platform when they are a force for good. You have someone here in the studio that you work with. Tell us a little bit about her.
That's my Mindy Lee Lou Who. And to our point exactly about God weaving, this daughter and her mom, they kept calling. They were very persistent, saying, we have a foundation, Riso Kids, and we want to tell you about these two kids. I have two kids, severely handicapped, but we're all about hope, and we have a network nationwide. And there are only 100 kids in the world that they know of for sure that have this RCDP. And I thought, I'd love to tell it because they're inspiring hope.
Yes.
Try pitching that at an evening 11 p.m. news meeting with two news reporters. So, but they kept calling.
That's why you're here. That's why you're here to do that.
Yeah, well, and so I finally got a meeting with them and the producer, the special projects producer. Fine, we'll do it. Walked into their house, told the story of Jake and Jordan. I might even seriously get a little choked up right now because I literally came from their house today. That's my home base when I'm in Cleveland. That's my family.
Jake and Jordan?
Jakey and Jordan.
That's her.
Two kids, life lessons with Jake and Jordan. I call him Jakey. That's where you'll find all this information. That was the story in which our sisterhood, like I don't even call her a friend, I call her a sister, a God appointed, we say hashtag divine design, not mine. That's what happened. I could never, her mama says it best, my adopted mama Debbie, we needed you at that time, and then you needed us. We could never have foreseen how you needed us. God weaves. Now watch him work.
Wow.
I would not have gotten through that time after losing my job. My whole identity was staked. I mean, I said it every day. Dawn Kendrick, 19 Action News. Dawn Kendrick, Channel 3 News. I had an identity with these stations. I don't have a husband. I don't have kids. I allowed it to complete me, not complement me. And so never again. But the weaving that you see through it all, to have this family on the other side of that, it's totally God at work. And I can't even believe I said that because that's my mom saying, who passed away 2 weeks ago,
Yes.
Thursday.
I'm sorry.
God at work. God
sorry.
at work.
Yes.
But I feel like she's here. Like, that's crazy, isn't it?
You know,
Crazy.
yeah, this is, you guys are so phenomenal. And I have to ask you, this is kind of a segue. I know that you interviewed the great Robin Swoboda.
Oh!
And she's phenomenal. She is, I always want you to talk a little bit about her spirit. She has what I consider to be extreme optimism.
Oh, infectious.
Yes, and you just tell me a little bit about her because she is magnificent.
Real deal.
She's magnificent.
Real deal. And I love your questions. You've asked so many great questions. I feel like I could sit here all day.
You wanted me to read something. Was that it? The clerk checked my reservation while a man stood behind me asking where he could find what I thought he said was a bull penis. Excuse me, I said. Do you know where I can find bull penis? I'm from South Carolina, and you can find them all over the place down there in big barrels. Gas stations, grocery stores, pretty much everywhere. I said, well, I'm just here for the night, so I wouldn't know where you could find them, but if you're traveling west, my sister's ex-husband lives in southern Missouri, and he collects raccoon penises, if that's any help. He gave me a confused look and said he was going to look for them at Walmart, and then asked the desk clerk for more trash bags. When the man sprinted out the door, it dawned on me that he had a strong southern drawl, and he wasn't looking for a bull penis. He wanted boiled peanuts. And I scared them both when I talked about raccoon penises.
Robin Swoboda is a warrior, but that's such a cliche word again now, you know, beating optimistically, but warrioring through her second cancer diagnosis. But she was beloved here, but on the air. But she is a repurposed news reporter as well, because she hasn't been on the air in a while. But what she does is she's genuine. It's so valuable. You can't teach it in the best journalism schools. She's genuine, and she's got a heart of gold. Yeah. And she's Christian, and she's not afraid to say it. And her personality makes you want to be more like her. It makes you want to be closer to her. I don't care what pedigree you have from what university, if you could have that on your headstone, that's when you know, well done, good and faithful servant. She is one of my favorite people in all the whole wide world, and it was the longest podcast. It was too long. Everyone said no one's going to listen. Some people literally said I won't listen that long, but it was fantastically plugged in.
Yes.
It was humor. It was faith. It was real look behind the scenes in broadcast news, and she's so funny. She says that one time she fell off. She wrote for the Akron Beacon Journal, and so she's written these little stories. You can find them online, where she fell off like into an orchestra pit when she was emceeing an event, and she said, "I saw the Christmas tree wrestling. They're trying to get down to me," and I thought, "Oh, I peed my pants." Who says that? I peed my pants.
What?
So she gets back up on the stage, and at the end she goes, "No, I'm good. Everything's good. But if you would like to remember me in your prayers tonight, that'd be great. Again, my name is Wilma Smith."
Yes.
So she
And the teeth. Was she had the teeth? Was she
so I think I'm going to start the interview as a joke, and I go, "Ladies and gentlemen, my friend Wilma Smith." I think I have the joke out of the gate. I look at her. She has Billy Bob teeth in or something, self-deprecating. So now we're laughing. No one listening knows, is it Wilma? Is it Robin? No, that is you're not going to see. People in news will be like, "Well, that's ridiculousness," or,
And the video she had
it.
where she kept calling herself Uncle Fester when she
Yeah.
when she didn't have hair. And then she said, "Let me put this hat back on."
Yes, she thought the hat was like her magic power. And her dog, she loves her dog Axel, and she said, "I came in, he tinkles," back again with the tinkle, "and I held him up, and here's exactly how she says it. You guys, he tinkled in my eye." That's exactly. He tinkled in my eye. She goes, I mean, that is funny stuff. It's funny. And people are craving that. They're craving that kind of genuine vulnerability.
I love her. If you can, you should ask her if I can interview her. She's
will.
Phenomenal.
I sure will.
And tell her I'm friends with her good friend Wayne Dawson. Of course,
Yes,
just in his book.
right.
And one thing I want to ask you this as a final thing, and we'll talk, of course, more after. But I want to ask you this: if you can sum up your enduring message, what would it be in a very succinct way? Your enduring message to people.
Be true to you. Be very cognizant of the difference between a career and a calling. And be sure every day, eyes up, rise up, to see the good in people and be the good for them.
Wow. If that was not a mic drop, I don't know what was. Listen, I would love for you to come on tour with me. I'm going to have some speakers too. Even if it's just like a one-off event where we're talking to people, because there's a lot of hurt people in this world, and you are basically an anesthesiologist and a surgeon, emotionally and psychologically. And I would like for you to be a part of that. We'll discuss more. But to me, you are a crown jewel, and I just want you to know that I adore you. Seriously.
You make me cry.
Well, I'm just telling you the honest truth.
And this is why I don't wear makeup anymore after spending each day under 3 layers of makeup and TV news. I get so mushy and emotional with such good stuff like this is God weaving it. I met you at a rotary speech. I'm telling you, he's working. He's alive, and he's working, and he's weaving. The fact that we are friends is perfect proof of that. And you have uplifted me so much today. I wish you so much success in the future. I see you, and I know God does. And I'm so grateful to have been on the other side of this mic with you.
Flattery will get you everywhere.
True. That's the
The
truth.
check's in the mail.
You're good, a good person. I saw your heart and soul before I even knew anything about you. So that's it.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And your awesome friend, who I'm going to try to adopt as my friend too.
Yeah, you're already in. Your family growing the Good Stuff family tree. You're the latest branch. She's Mindy Lee Luhu. No, I call her that. Mindy Lee is her name.
Okay, mention her website again and her information.
It's Life Lessons with Jake and Jordan on Facebook.
Okay.
And it's Rizo Kids is the foundation.
Rizo Kids Ohio.
In Rizo Kids Ohio is the local at Rizo Kids Ohio.
Okay.
And you can learn so much from these kids who they're nonverbal. They weren't supposed to live until they were sometimes a year. If you live to be 5, you're a long-term survivor. Jakey's 20, coming up on 21 this summer. Jordan is 17. They're beating the odds, and the message is hope. Hope is everything.
So my final thoughts on Dawn Kendrick is she is what the world needs now. Love, sweet love. And she is out here to be Wonder Woman in a land full of Lex Luthors, okay? I think that Dawn Kendrick should be front and center. And guys, please check her out. Google her. type it into whatever search bar you can. I don't care whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, or whatever. Just make sure you look for these keywords: the Good Stuff family, Dawn Kendrick, world changer. And now to you, Dawn. Thank you for all that you do and for allowing me to breathe the same air as you. You go, girl. But I appreciate you so much. You guys are awesome and extraordinary. And
Thank you.
I look forward to more greatness from you.
Thank you. Your mouth to God's ears.